Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for another Chainsaw Man chapter, and this one is another big one. Like, we get a reveal of who the fake Chainsaw Man is, and Denji is so pissed off at the end of the chapter, it's crazy. But we'll just get right into it with this chapter titled Ordinary Happiness. And right away, we're just with Denji. He's walking around town, and he's listening to this TV broadcast. And it's like, this Chainsaw Man fight was outrageous. Why did he have to destroy everything? We're losing faith in Chainsaw Man. He's just destroying all of our stuff. And he was even reportedly in the aquarium incident. Because, the aquarium did disappear. And I'm happy that we're finally getting, the repercussions of what has happened in this story so far. Because usually, I've said this before, usually in manga, they don't really deal with the repercussions of, the damage in the cities and all that stuff. So it's sort of just nice to see, realism in the manga. But it's really cool because it's sort of how, DC has been doing their stuff with, how the superheroes are destroying the city and they're becoming, more villains. But yeah, it's just sort of nice to be able to see this, realism in the manga because you don't think about this stuff. Everything that people are theorizing, it's had nothing to do with people caring about how the city got destroyed. But then we cut to see Denji in school, and he's just walking around, and he overhears this conversation of these girls talking about, if the Chainsaw Man didn't kill the Falling Devil, we could have a Nostradamus on our hands. And I love how they word this because they're talking about Nostradamus as an entity or as a being. But I think now, and I think this is just a hint to get us ready, that the Nostradamus prophecy is actually going to become a devil, actually pulling up. Maybe their name is Nostradamus, I don't know, but they're basically talking about this prophecy as a person. And they even say in the end, Nostradamus isn't a devil. So it's really interesting to see because, it was a real person, obviously, but their name is being put into a new context of this prophecy, which is going to cause great ruin to the world. And it's interesting because, people are getting afraid of it, obviously. So there might be a devil that gets birthed from this idea. I'm not really sure. It could just be a sprinkling of an idea in. But we cut and see Denji, and he's at home with Nayuta now, and they're just chilling. And she's talking about how on the TV, there's the Chainsaw Man church, and they're talking about it again. They're just a bunch of brainwashed kids. That's what the report is saying. And Denji, he's fully out of it. We've seen in the panels before, he's just super out of it. He's really depressed, it seems, and that's because he can't turn into the Chainsaw Man anymore. Last chapter, we thought that, he's just going to say fuck you to Yoshida, but later on he says, I'm not turning into the Chainsaw Man anymore. So we get to see he's just super depressed about this. This is this one thing that he loved. But yeah, Nayuta's they're fighting the police. Look, Denji. And then Denji's the church's days are numbered, though. I'm not going to turn into Chainsaw Man anymore, so they won't have any, more material to use. And Nayuta's huh? You aren't? And Denji's well, if I do, you'll die. So I just can't. He said he thought about it, and he's this normal life, nothing can really beat it right now. Because, this is the stuff that he dreamed of as a kid. He can never live just a normal life. Him and Pochita made this contract about just wanting to live a normal life. And we get to see later, Denji's talking to Pochita about this, normal life. And Nayuta, I really love this part. She's do you really even think that? And Denji's yeah, of course. And she's no, really. Do you think that there's nothing better than a normal life? And Denji's I do. And then he's hold up. Do I? So he's questioning himself again with do I really care about a normal life? Do I want to have this crazy bombastic Chainsaw Man life or whatever? But I think it's interesting because is this Nayuta manipulating him? Because it could be a hint that she is, but in my opinion, I don't think she is. I think that she and Denji have just too good of a relationship right now that she just doesn't use his powers on him. So it really comes down to, is she just gaslighting Denji? I don't know. And I do think that she just knows what Denji actually wants. She's been with him for a while and she knows that, you want to be the Chainsaw Man, you want attention, but I think there might be something else that Denji wants too that is just not shown. But we cut basically from that. And Nayuta's sleeping, Denji's taking a shit, and he's hey Pochita, we really wanted to live this normal life, right? And he's talking to his pull cord. And he's I dreamed of this normal life, but now I'm dreaming of stuff even higher than this. I don't know why. He's we can be happy with what we got, right, Pochita? We don't need to keep fighting. And this is just Denji sort of just trying to rationalize this stuff. He wants to, keep Nayuta safe, but he wants to be the Chainsaw Man. And he's I'm doing this for Pochita. Because, it all goes back to Pochita, his really first friend and only friend. And he just he wants his life to be good for Pochita's sake, and he's really fighting these demons, man. He's like, do I want to fight? Do I want to keep Nagito alive? And this is all going to come to a boiling point later, but we see Meowie and she just pops in. And I just love that because we haven't seen Meowie in a while, and he's like, yo, Meowie, you can't sleep either. But we cut again, and we see Denji, he's sitting by the TV, he's watching stuff, he's flipping through channels, and he stops on this channel that is hosting like a Chainsaw Man church, like political rally type of debate thing with other people. Because there's this old man who's talking about, these kids, they're just brainwashed kids. You guys don't know how to fight. Your parents are probably like afraid for you, and you guys have no real experience, like how can you guys take responsibility for what the Chainsaw Man did? And we get to see the class pres, and he's the figurehead for this entire movement. Because Fami and the fake Chainsaw Man, they propped him up to just be the face of this movement. And he's like, well, as for the devil hunting, we contact, all the right people. We contact the police, the military, all whoever they need to contact. And he also says, we're part of the Devil Hunters Club. Like, we have experience. We know what we're doing. And I love that. Like, just because they're in the Devil Hunters Club, they think that they're devil hunters. And I'm not sure how stuff works in this world. Like, maybe the Devil Hunters Club actually is like a fast track into becoming a devil hunter. But from what I see, it's just, these kids are just being kids, just justifying reasons that they're doing this. But he keeps talking about, only those who have accepted the Chainsaw Man's teachings devil hunt. Also, if you guys like the Chainsaw Man content, want new videos each week, just please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Back to the video. What's wrong with us following our own sense of morals, our own justice? And this justice thing, that should be kept in your head. The justice thing is important. But the dude's like, oh, and besides that, this Chainsaw Man teaching bullshit, he's not even telling you any of this stuff. In the class pres, he's like, well, he actually has told us. And, if you prefer, I can go bring him on right now. And Denji's like, whoa, what? They're bringing me on? And this is too funny because obviously Denji's the Chainsaw Man. He knows who the real Chainsaw Man is. And he's like, they're going to call me? Like, I wasn't notified on this. So he literally walks to his phone and he's looking at it. And he's like, huh? Like watching back at the TV. And then the old dude, he's like, what? Like, we can talk to Chainsaw Man? I didn't hear about that in the meeting. And then she's like, nobody told me that either, bro. Like, we're going to talk to me? And I just love that. Like, he's so stupid, but it's Denji, like, obviously. But the class pres, he's like, let's call him out together, okay? He like yells, Chainsaw Man. And then he pulls up this what seems like regular looking high school student. His hat is covering his face, obviously. We don't get to see the full reveal. It's really sad, but he's like, greetings, I am Chainsaw Man. But from what we see, he has black hair. He doesn't have the sharp teeth. He sort of looks like Yoshida a little bit, I'm gonna be honest, like just from this picture. Or also Angi, I think how you say it, from Fire Force. Looks a little like it, and I've been waiting to see maybe other characters from Fujimoto's manga come back in this, because he does use a lot of character designs from his old stuff into now. And he literally has a character called Nayuta from a different one-shot, and she's in the story now. And either way, we know this is not Denji. He's like, I'm coming to you guys from the Chainsaw Man Church. And he seems very like regal, I guess. He seems very proper. And Denji, he's just sitting at the screen, mouth wide open. He's like, huh? Like, he's so like astonished that there's somebody pretending to be the Chainsaw Man. But the fake Chainsaw Man, he's like, yes, I am the Chainsaw Man. The rumors are true. I am a cross between a devil and a human, a mixture. He doesn't say that, but he says, my body is halfway between a devil and a human. And he says, I gained the powers to turn into the Chainsaw Man from the Justice Devil. So that's interesting, or an encounter with the Justice Devil. So that's just interesting right away because we started the manga against the Justice Devil. I mean, at least part 2, against the Justice Devil. And it also could be, a lie. But it's interesting because it is Justice, and we already fought against them before a few times in different renditions. So yeah, I do think that he got his powers from some other way. That's just me. But I mean, the first time we did see the fake Chainsaw Man was right after the Justice Devil's defeat, or at least Yuko's defeat. And he literally pulls up, murders Yuko, and leaves for no reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was the Justice Devil telling him to do this, but I'm not sure how the Justice Devil, a contract with that, would give you the power to be able to turn into Chainsaw Man. Maybe it's his sense of justice is so strong that he wants to be Chainsaw Man too. I'm not sure how this all would work, but he's basically saying that the reason that he fights is to make a devilless world. And this is interesting because from what we've seen so far of this fake Chainsaw Man, he wants to create a peaceful world. He wants peace, and we've seen it a few times, him mention it. So it's really interesting to see that he wants a world with no devils. But Denji, he's like, no, that's not what I wanted. And he goes on a whole tirade of just, he's screaming at the TV. And Naruto literally wakes up from him yelling. He's like, I never thought of any of that stuff. I would never fight for any bullshit reasons like that. I don't have a reason to fight. And he's like, I died so many times for this. And people just started calling me Chainsaw Man just because. And he's like, this isn't the Chainsaw Man. Your guy ain't the Chainsaw Man. And he's like crying. Like, I've never seen Denji in this much like emotional strife ever. Like, he is literally going in like a full tantrum right now. There's like snot's coming out of his nose. He's literally crying. He's yelling. But I do think it's really interesting that how he's talking like, I died so many times for this. And people just started calling me the Chainsaw Man like, on their own. And that's really interesting because Denji, he appreciates how the people like started seeing him as a hero. And he wants the people to see him as a hero because this Chainsaw Man persona is a heroic one. It helps save people and he likes that attention. It's just cool that Denji knows that he's sacrificed, so much. Like, he's died a bunch of times, but he can just come back to life with the blood and all that stuff. So it's really funny to see. But end of the chapter, he's on his hands and knees. Naruto's patting his back, like consoling him. He's like, I'm more Chainsaw Man than him. It's just funny, of course. Fujimoto's throwing like curveballs at us all the time. Like, I was expecting maybe a Naruto arc, maybe we go into a different arc, but finally, we're getting the fake Chainsaw Man stuff, and oh my god, it's awesome. And I just can't wait to see where this goes, because we do have a break next week, which is really sad, but you already know, after we come back from breaks, Fujimoto drops bangers, like usual. So we'll just wait to see. I do think that this like a political rally or debate thing, that we're gonna cut back to see the fake Chainsaw Man talk more, and maybe get a full face reveal, which would be really cool, but he basically seems like this is gonna be our antagonist. I'm not sure. He's working with Fami, so yeah, but right now, this is set up to have a Chainsaw Man v Chainsaw Man fight, and it's probably going to be awesome. I would like to see if he, the fake Chainsaw Man, has like different techniques and different ways to use his chainsaws, because from what we basically get implied, he hasn't had his chainsaws for that long. So I'm just guessing he would mimic Denji and do what he does, because Denji is televised. The Chainsaw Man gets televised all the time. So I'm guessing he knows how to fight, sort of. But it would be really cool to see that like maybe he's had this power for longer and from some like bullshittery. I'm not sure, because we have no clue what this is going to. But maybe he's had the power for longer, and maybe he has different techniques than Denji. Like, he uses his chainsaws in a completely different way, which would be really cool, because Denji, he uses his powers pretty stupidly. Like, he doesn't use them in the right like way most of the time, but he still gets the job done. So it's a W. But that's the end of the chapter. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't seen the video before this, the top 10 strongest devil hunters, I spent a lot of time on the video and I think it's really good. So if you would give it a look, I'd really appreciate it. But thank you guys for watching again. Please subscribe if you liked the video, and peace.